I want to give a special shout out to all my patrons first. Thank you so much to my Bibliospren, Bibliohowlers, and my Bibliomancers. It means a lot to me that you give me your extra support for my passion and hobby. Hi everyone, Petrik here. Today I will be talking about all the books that I want to read next month, in the month of June. We are almost halfway through the year now, and yeah, I'm excited about all the books that I want to read to conclude the first half of this year. The majority of the books I'm going to be reading in the month of June will be sequels. I think only 2 of them will be the first book of a series, and one of them is actually a reread. So yeah, I will only be starting one new series next month, and that book is The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. This is this one, the second most voted in my Patreon Spec for the book of the month, and I will mention the number 1 next after I finish talking about this one. But yeah, The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi will be the first time I dive into Shannon Chakraborty's books. I have heard pretty much nothing but great things about this one. I heard this one will consist of heists. It takes place in the same world as the Devabad trilogy, but you don't have to read the Devabad trilogy first. I absolutely love the cover art by Ivan Belikov, the US cover art. And based on everything that I've heard so far, without any spoilers about The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, well, this really sounds like something I would like. And I thought I might as well read this one first before diving into the Devabad trilogy, because yeah, The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi has been calling out to me, and yeah, I will just follow my reading mood and read this one first. Plus, my Patreon has picked this one to be the second most voted pick for my book of the month. So yeah, looking forward to reading this one. I was going to read The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi this month, but I couldn't make it. So yeah, this will be going probably the first book I'm going to read in the month of June. And once I'm done with The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, I'm going to be reading my Patreon Spec for the book of the month, and that is the sequel to Ill-Born. It is Aiduel Sin by Daniel T. Jackson. Ill-Born is one of my favorite books. It is one of my favorite fantasy debut. It is an incredibly character-driven fantasy novel with a very engaging, sometimes absolutely despicable character, with very questionable actions from the characters. It is so compelling, the first book. And I've been wanting to read Aiduel Sin for quite a while now. I think I read Ill-Born in January 2022. I hope my memory of the details in Ill-Born will be enough to allow me to enjoy Aiduel Sin to its fullest. I heard a pretty much amazing thing about Aiduel Sin as well from the fans of the series. And also, if you haven't caught up with the series yet, there was an announcement from the Broken Binding. Well, their new special edition from the Broken Binding Press, which will focus on publishing hardcover and special edition for self-published fantasy books. Their second pick after Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill is Ill-Born, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. I'll be talking about that in my next video, the next episode of SFF Spotlight. But yeah, for now, I am very excited about reading Aiduel Sin, the second book out of 4 in the Ill-Born saga by Daniel T. Jackson, next month. And as I said, this and The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi are my Patreon Spec for the book of the month that I'm going to be reading and reviewing in the month of June. And speaking of special edition earlier, well, the next book that I'm going to be reading is next month is Farilane by Michael J. Sullivan. This is the second book in the Rise and Fall trilogy. This is the standalone sequel to Nolan. So I think this one will take place a few hundred years after the events of Nolan. But well, based on my experience of reading Nolan, I really don't recommend you, no matter what the author said, to not start your journey into the world of Elan from Farilane or Nolan. Really, don't do it. I will talk about that more in my monthly wrap-up, or if you have read my review of Nolan on Goodreads, then you will know what I'm talking about. But I'm pretty excited about this one because many fans of the series of Michael J. Sullivan's books have mentioned this one, Farilane, is one of Michael J. Sullivan's best books so far. It is at the very least up there with some of the Rairia books, and I think that's really a high praise, because as much as I enjoyed reading The Legends of the First Empire, the 6 books in The Legends of the First Empire, and also Nolan, none of them match the quality of the highest quality in the Rairia books yet, in my opinion. I'm hoping Farilane and then Ashra Hadon, which is the final book in the Rise and Fall trilogy, will be up there with some of the best in Rairia books. Hopefully even better. Hopefully. But yeah, very pumped about this one, looking forward to it. And yeah, this is the special edition, the special leatherbound edition that Michael J. Sullivan and Robin Sullivan sent to me. And after that, the next sequel I'm going to tackle next month will of course be the continuation to the Dragonbone Chair. So this is the second book in Memory, Sorrow and Thorn trilogy by Ted Williams, The Stone of Farewell. Very excited about this one. It's been very difficult to actually withhold myself from immediately jumping into the Stone of Farewell. I will be doing a live stream conversation with Alex from Tall Guy Reads about the Dragonbone Chair at the end of this week. Make sure to check out. If you have read the book and you want to join the discussion, it will be great to have you in the discussion to be talking about what you like and probably dislike about the Dragonbone Chair. But the Dragonbone Chair is currently the fourth book that I rated with a 5 out of 5 stars rating this year. Hopefully the Stone of Farewell will be able to deliver that for me as well. I heard that people usually think the first book and the third book to be the best of the series, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out whether the Stone of Farewell will be an improvement over the Dragonbone Chair or not. But it's just great to be reading more of Ted Williams' prose. I absolutely love his writing. Many people have told me that if you love Robin Hobb's prose, you're going to love Ted Williams' prose. They're not lying about that. It's really true. And just for your information, the next live stream after the Dragonbone Chair, so the live stream conversation about the Stone of Farewell will be posted and hosted by Alex from Tall Guy Reads. It will be on his channel. There will be more announcement on this coming up on our YouTube channel. Once I'm done with the Stone of Farewell, this will be another priority read, and this will be the fourth and final arc in the Mother of Learning by Nobody 103 or Domagoj Kurmaic. Yeah, I am going to be finishing this series, and yeah, this series has been super engaging. It has been super fun and creative. I look forward to reading the conclusion of this one. The cliffhanger to Mother of Learning Arc 3 was quite brutal, and just like the Dragonbone Chair, it's been hard. It's been really hard for me to not jump into the next book as soon as possible, but I also feel like it would be better for me to do a little break before diving into the fourth and final book of the entire series, of the Mother of Learning series. Once I'm done with the Mother of Learning, as some of you have asked me about this, what's the next web novel that I will tackle? Well, the answer is not The Wandering Inn by Pirate Abba. Not yet. I plan to tackle Worm by Wildbow. Yeah, I plan to tackle Worm first before diving into The Wandering Inn. But once I'm done with Worm, then yeah, The Wandering Inn will be the next web novel I tackle. But I'm so pumped about this one. Many people said that Mother of Learning is one of the best web novel published in the West, and I can certainly agree with that. But that said, I haven't read any web novels other than Mother of Learning, so probably put a grain of salt on my opinion. I can definitely say though that this one is absolutely fun to read, especially if you love time travel, time loop, and magical school. And finally, the final two books in my TBR next month, both of them will be reread. And the first one is time to do a second read of Beyond Redemption by Michael R. Fletcher. This is a blast from the past. This is the first book in the Manifest Delusion series, one of the best ongoing grimdark fantasy series that I have ever read. And guess what? The third and final book of the series is finally coming this year. Yes, A War to End All, the third and final book in the Manifest Delusion, will be coming this September. I am super excited about this, and because of that, I will be doing a second read of Beyond Redemption and then The Mirror's Truth in the month of July. After that, I will tackle A War to End All probably in the month of August. But for those of you who haven't read Beyond Redemption or The Manifest Delusion yet, you kinda owe it to yourself to give this series a try. If you love unique magic system, a morally gray, well, not really morally gray because these characters are all pretty much villains. Yeah, we're basically following the perspective of villains in Manifest Delusions. But yeah, if you love grimdark fantasy, definitely take a look at Beyond Redemption, The Mirror's Truth, and eventually A War to End All. I look forward to reading that too, of course. But one more fun fact about Beyond Redemption, this is actually the first book, the first signed and personalized book I ever received. And finally, the last book that I'm going to tackle next month. This will be a reread, and I think some of you know what book I'm going to be rereading, and that is the fifth book in the Red Rising saga, The Massive Dark Age by Pierce Brown. Dark Age is easily, as the title says, one of the darkest and most violent book I have ever read. It is absolutely depressing, bleak, and full, well, devoid of hope here. It practically has no hope. Everything about this book is dark, dark, dark. And because of that, the first time I read this one, and also do consider the fact that I did not do any reread prior to reading Dark Age for the first time, well, my experience with Dark Age is that this is my least favorite of the entire series, and I know that is considered an unpopular opinion among the fans of the series, but you know what, that was true. But that's why I'm really excited about this, because I have done a full reread of the entire Red Rising saga. I am in the middle of doing a second read of Iron Gold right now, and this time, because I did a full reread of the entire series, I'm quite curious to find out whether my opinion on the first time I read Dark Age will still hold true on the second read or not. Because if some of you did miss that video, I did a video on why you should read the first Red Rising trilogy. In that video, I explained somehow Morning Star became my favorite book in the entire Red Rising saga so far. And that situation was not true during the first time I read through the first Red Rising trilogy or the Red Rising saga. Let's see whether a reread will improve my reading experience of Dark Age or not. And then I will be ready to tackle, finally read Lightbringer, the 6th book in the Red Rising saga series by Pierce Brown. So that's it. That's all the 7 books I'm going to read in the month of June. Probably, yeah, I do not think I will be able to find the time to read one more book, but if I can, let's see whichever book I'm going to tackle in the month of June. But yeah, D7 will be priority to read in the month of June. Do let me know what you think about my TBR pile next month. And also, if you're a bit of a reading planner, do tell me what books you're going to be reading next month. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye-bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.